we need to talk about the state of Stranded Deep. So, for those of you who do not know, Stranded Deep is a survival, early access, single player slash kind of multiplayer title that's been in early access on Steam for 5 years now. It has been developed by a small team of 2 people. Now, I'm just going to say straight out of the gate that I'm not here to upset anyone. I just feel someone has to say what a lot of people are thinking right now. So, let me bring you up to speed in case you're not in the know. Stranded Deep just released on consoles, Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and basically the 2 versions of the game, the console version and the PC version, don't match. They're quite different in several ways. So like I mentioned, 5 years in early access, and the end game is now in sight. An ending to the game is a huge deal. That is currently only on consoles. Xbox One and PlayStation 4 have the ending, but the PC players do not. Not having the ending on the PC before the console is a huge kick in the teeth to all the PC players that have supported this game for the past 5 years. Not only with testing the game, but with financial support as well through people making YouTube videos on it. Now this leads me to their approach of the console release. So what they've done is released it onto console and they're now sponsoring console YouTubers to play the game. I'm really not bothered that they didn't try to contact me, for example, but I have never seen a single PC sponsorship for Stranded Deep, and yet they're paying every single console YouTuber they can find. Now, yes, they are allowed to do this, and it's fairly common with sponsoring people, but the way that they've done it with only console players, it just tells me a lot about what they're going for, really, which unfortunately looks like money. Console is a brand new market to them, and that's where they're going to make the majority of their money right now. Pretty much everyone who wants to play Stranded Deep probably already has it on PC, and to all those console players, that's new money. Now this alone might be okay, right? That might be fine. But this entire time, let's take the past 2 years into account here. I've been monitoring their Twitter accounts. If they said anything, new updates, I would get it straight away. Throughout that entire time, they have not been very active, if at all active, with the PC community. The console wasn't around then, obviously. Yet since the console release, they have been tweeting non-stop about all the happy people playing it on console. It's really not a level playing field, and all the PC players are feeling like they're getting neglected. And it's not just me. There's entire forum posts on the Steam forums, people just complaining and saying how upset and disappointed they are that they've supported this game for so long and haven't got to play the ending before someone else who just bought the game does. Like I said, it's a huge kick in the teeth. Now, there's another point that I want to talk about with the console version. It's actually running on an outdated version, but has features the PC doesn't. So let's talk about that for a second. Console players and console version has tarp. Tarp was completely replaced with cloth, and that was done just under a year ago now. It's August last year. Which basically gives us loads of information about when the end game was finished. Like, the end game was done for this console release about a year ago, and that was around the time when they started to have all the publication issues with Telltale Games. So basically, with the console version being further behind and having features that the PC doesn't, that tells me that they've held the endgame back from PC. They could have released it on PC when they first had it made. And you're probably going to say, well, how do you know they had it made? I can't say for sure, but about 8 months, maybe even a year ago, I can say confidently 6 months, they had the game files for the aircraft carrier in the game. The animations, all the objects, everything, the sound effects, done in the game files about a year ago. Which matches up completely with the current console version. Now, yes, it is done. The console release has happened, which is a huge achievement for Beam Team Games. It's very few titles, early access titles, get to go this far, and you've done that. Huge achievement. I wish you'd have gone about it a bit different. And I just want to mention that I'm not a game developer. I don't know what happens behind the scenes on these types of projects. For example, the old publisher Telltale Games, they might have set the requirement to have the ending on game to put some more focus on the console release at launch. But if that is true, they ended up publishing the game on their own anyway, so why would they not bring them both up to speed? It's just really confusing. So, is the game finished? Is it ready for a console port? No, it's nowhere near done. It's buggy, unbalanced survival, it's unoptimized, it runs terribly, and not to mention the huge lack of features. I could spend 10 minutes brainstorming and come up with 100 great ideas for them to add to this game. And that's not me saying, oh, I could make a better game. That's me saying, this game is a great foundation, this is what you could do with it. Add more stuff to it, it could be so much more. Right now, the base game, honestly, very boring, super quick. I know lots of YouTubers that have tried it, just streamed it, and stopped playing because there's nothing to do. I only play it now because of custom islands, which are insane. They're the only way to have fun in this game, in my opinion. I've played the vanilla game for 2 YouTube seasons now, and I can say it's boring. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not the only person that thinks like this. There's a lot of posts on the Steam forums talking just like this. This one, for example, titled "Console Plebs Get to See the Finished Game Before PC Players." To which Beam Team replied, "As some of you have noticed, the console and PC versions differ slightly. We will be working hard to bring the console version up to date with the latest PC changes and vice versa." And Sam, one of the developers, went on to say, "We're taking a bit of extra time to make sure the final features are solid in the PC version. And we're also adding another large feature that isn't in the console version at the moment, which I'm probably going to say is a larger world. Just speculation. I don't think any of this is a bad thing, but I'm honestly sorry you feel it is." But if you've got the game, you can scroll through the forums yourself and read them. Everyone's just saying it's a huge disrespect to all the PC players that have supported it for so long. So I also want to mention that the recent updates have been straight up super lazy. For example, in one of the recent updates, they added a giant hog and a giant crab. Both of those models were taken from Sketchfab for about a $20 fee. With animations, all you have to do is add it into the game. And for a game that has had this much coverage, like PewDiePie and everyone's played this, it can't be for a lack of money. Would I recommend this game to new players? Well, it all depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that definitely feels like early access, is cheap and not polished, then sure. I mean, I'm having fun with playing this game, but that's only because of custom islands right now. Now, I just want to mention that Stranded Deep has done a lot for my channel. I've got a lot of content from this game, but that's purely because of all the community-made islands. And for what it is, the price, I think, is actually quite fair. It's a cheap game, and you should set your expectations accordingly. Now, there's 2 main points in today's video. The first one is they've ported a buggy, unfinished, unoptimized, early access game to console for what seems like instant financial gain, while paying and pushing as many console players to play as possible to grow their audience on it, all while neglecting their PC players. And I'm not talking about just the past week. I've probably made close to like 100 bug reports, and 50 of those bugs are still in the game right now. You can't play the game without finding a bug. Now, this is extremely similar to Ark Survival Evolved. The reason I never played that in the first place, after being asked for years constantly, is because they released DLC, paid DLC, to an early access title. Like, that should just not happen. Like, finish the base game first, you know? And if you think all this sounds okay, it's not. Like, take Rust, for example. Rust has been in early access for quite a while, but that recently came out of early access and is a full game now. After releasing as a full game, they have now started to consider porting to console, and they are doing that. Like, that is the correct way to do it. Like, I can't see any other way but a cash grab. Now, yes, they might come out with a ton of updates for the PC version in the future, but that's just all speculation. Plus, I have my doubts. I just feel like the devs are really tired and bored of this project, this Stranded Deep, and just want to move on to something else. I mean, who wouldn't? It's been 5 years of early access. That sounds pretty painful. Well, that's pretty much everything that I want to mention in this video. Stranded Deep is a buggy, clearly unfinished game made by a very small team of developers that clearly have very little respect for the community that made the game popular in the first place. Now, I'm personally still having fun at playing with custom islands and making videos, but I'm now really looking forward to trying new games. Now, the game is cheap, so it might be worth picking up if you've never played it before. Alternatively, you could just watch the trailer and see everything there is to do in the entire game. The new trailer is literally the entire experience. It's like watching a trailer for a film, it's all just spoilers. Now, I know I'm going to get a little bit of community lashback here for talking about this. There are some people that completely disagree with what I've said here, but the majority from what I've seen agree. Overall, I'm disappointed with the final product of Stranded Deep. I feel like it could be so much more. I've had great communication with Beam Team in the past, and I do get along with them, which just makes this whole circumstance really unfortunate. If things had gone differently, I would have made a video praising them instead. Feel free to open up a discussion in the comments, but that thing is going to be a war zone.